Okay, everybody. You guys have no idea how cosmically perfect and coincidental it is that I'm going to be reacting to this guy's video while playing on this Minecraft server. For those that don't know, the person who made this video, I have quite a few political disagreements with. Notably, this YouTuber, Willie Mac Show, has big-time Keffel's derangement syndrome. Keffel's being a good friend of the show and someone who I know for a fact is not unironically evil, as I believe he has claimed. However, Willie Mac Show, I debated him once, and the consensus is that he didn't do the greatest, but a fantastic meme came out of that debate. You see, in my How I Fell Down the Alt-Right Rabbit Hole and Got Out of It video, basically a video where I chronicleize my, basically a multi-year long political journey I went through as I kind of grew from teenage into adulthood, how I, when I was a younger teenager and more susceptible to very stupid propaganda points, I fell into the right, but then I matured out of it and found myself as more of a progressive that would still be seen as moderate among most of the online left, I would say. In that video, I talked about how this very Minecraft server I'm playing on, 2b2t.org, known to be a server with no rules, notably that you can say whatever you want. You might have noticed in the chat there that there's going to be a lot of slurs and there's going to be a lot of really mean, nasty things getting said. I'm not going to say that every 2b2t player is like an awful Nazi or something like that. That's definitely not true. In fact, more than half of 2b2t players that are regulars have never even spoken in the game chat. However, I'd brought up that my regular playtime on this server and the groups and friendships I'd made on here had basically solidified a bunch of the really problematic, arguably extremely bigoted jokes and comments and stereotypes and just habits that I had. They would get ingrained and sort of like rewarded socially on this server and in the social spaces that like I would exist in on the server. And I talked about that, and then Willie Mac Show responded, "So are you saying you got radicalized by Minecraft?" And I was so bewildered by that response. I think I just said, yeah, I was. And I just owned it, in the whole chat, like, I don't think he got it, but the whole chat got that I was being sarcastic, and so it ended up being a meme. But eventually, here's the thing, though. I like Willie Mac Show. Besides his Keffel's derangement syndrome, after that point, he got notably more based in regards to his politics, in my opinion. And notably, I don't know why I keep saying notably, but I guess I'll say, it is worth pointing out that Willie Mac Show has gotten particularly based when it comes to a specific type of video he's started doing lately, and that is Andrew Tate and Sneeko takedown videos. As much as I've disagreed with Willie Mac Show politically in the past, I have to say, out of all of YouTube, he might be doing some of the best takedown videos in the Tate brothers, Fresh and Fit, and Sneeko out of anybody on YouTube. Like, certainly he's beating out any lefty content creators I've seen. Insofar as his reach, how palatable his criticisms are, I think you guys will start to understand what I'm talking about here in a moment. He does a really good job on this stuff, and he just the other day released a new video updating us on the case against Andrew Tate. And let's just say Andrew Tate is fucked. Like, the evidence against him is overwhelming. The prosecution is after him hardcore. And there's just a lot of evidence of him outright admitting on wiretap and publicly to the crimes he's been accused of. It's Jover. More charges are getting added on with evidence. It's bad for him. But we're gonna get the full update here, so let's watch.
Andrew Tate is in full damage control because no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, it's becoming more and more clear that this guy is guilty. Andrew's defense? Calling all critics members of the Matrix.
If you believe that left wing are all Matrix agents and right wing are all freedom tellers and freedom believers, then you have a very naive view of the world. If it was so clear cut, the Matrix wouldn't be able to operate. So after getting the largest interview in the history of the world, the Matrix thought, okay, our MSM weapons we're using, let's get all of our bought and paid for agents and attack him with them. Right wing people. Because then maybe that will work. All they're doing is exposing themselves as control alt. I'll leave them to do that.
Look how insane this is. He doesn't even have to engage with what people say about him. He just gets to go, it's the Matrix, they're out to get me. Don't believe anything you see or critically think, and people will believe him. He then sneak disses me in this video.
I'm going to outline the exact case against me so everybody understands, because there's been some videos going around lately.
The
There's also been a
sneak
brand new Matrix
diss.
attack, which I'm going to explain how that works.
Oh, so for those that don't know, little update for those guys that don't know, Andrew Tate recently got off house arrest. You see, regardless of how much of a flight risk he is, and regardless of how obviously guilty he is, while the case is still going on, they can only hold him in some form of custody for so long. And so he no longer is under house arrest. And so he has told his audience, here's the funny part, he's told his audience this means he's 100% off the hook and he's been exonerated, and this means it's all over. He's free of all his legal trouble. That is the opposite of the case. That is literally just, he's no longer under house arrest. That's the only thing that's different now, is he's allowed to walk free until he's found guilty and sentenced to a very long time in prison. So he's basically disarming his audience to any preparation to defend him in the court of public opinion, or to, rally for his freedom when the inevitable happens. Like, he's like so dedicated to making himself look unstoppable, he's fucking his future self over. Because his fans are just going to be like, wait, what? When the police come and they take him off to prison. Or like when the trial happens. Like, the trial hasn't happened yet. So like his fans are going to be really confused when the trial happens and he's losing. And it's like not looking good for him. And they're like, what? I thought he was off. What? This was all over months ago. What? It's going to be really funny. It's going to be really funny.
Which have people believing I might be guilty of something that I'm not guilty of.
Yeah, he never gets around to outlining the case, because if he did, he'd look guilty. He just goes on and on about how he ratioed a YouTube video.
I actually believe I've probably been the #1 person who's destroyed MSM most fantastically. I've beaten them. They can't print anything about me without getting...
Oh, here's a good example of what I was talking about when I said this, the culture of this server contributed a fair amount to radicalization. This is a kit, a popular kit that was distributed a lot back in 2019, back when a big dupe happened. I duped a lot of it because it was Unbreakable Gear. Here's the thing, though. Said Unbreakable Gear was already named, and renaming it would undo the Unbreakable property. And now it's no longer Unbreakable. It's just normal God tier enchanted gear. So it's still valuable, and I wouldn't throw it away. But now I have to rename it. Because here's the names that the players that made these items originally gave them. Let's look at the bow. Yeah, that's why I've been grinding XP and renaming all this gear. Because I want to be able to have gear that's not named this shit for when the next dupe happens. Because, like, with the game having updated, or the server having updated, a new dupe is very imminent. And so I'd rather not have to dupe all this shit. And instead... Oh, sorry. Instead, I'd be duping these renamed kits. RIP most justified use for an EXP farm. Yeah, exactly. Like, you guys know why I'm doing this. Zan, how dare you? I'm not throwing this god gear away. I'm going to rename it. You think just because it has some swastikas in the name, I'm just going to throw it away to despawn? I'm renaming those bitches. This is max enchant gear.
Wrecked in the comments.
Wow, so cool, dude.
Last time my team analyzed, it was 98.2% of comments on every single MSM article was in my favor.
He's got teams analyzing this. Last time my team checked, I had 92% left.
Remember, guys, Sneeko once said, I feel like Sneeko worded the way that most conservatives like him, like basically build their worldview better than I could ever describe it. It was actually crazy. Sneeko said the way that he goes about engaging with politics is by quote-unquote seeking truth through funny. It's not a joke, by the way. That's not a meme. Seek truth through funny is his mindset. In the same way, Andrew Tate's mindset is seek truth through popularity, through clout, right? And so that's why he's basically just trying to play off this, like, I'm popular, I'm powerful, nothing can stop me, You know, I'm ratioing people. I'm bigger than ever. He has to fake it in order to make it. That's the only way for him.
That means I'm right. So today I'm going to break down Andrew and Tristan's response in their misinformation campaign, their insane attempts to intimidate the victims from testifying against them, including a bogus civil lawsuit, glorifying Jeffrey Epstein, and even defending a pedo ring in court. Buckle up, because when it comes to the Tate case, it somehow always gets worse. Like his hairline, he has to fake getting haircuts. How sad is that?
You're literally fucking bald.
I'm bald by choice. I shave my head twice a week. I could have as much hair as you.
He's lying. When in reality,
Nope.
he should just be using MD hair. MD hair is clinically proven, customized hair growth treatment developed by dermatologists to help with the exact cause and type of your hair loss. I feel like I got a pretty decent hairline, but even I've noticed a bit of thinning over the years, and I'm looking to prevent that for as long as possible. They make it so
I need
easy.
to get a
Just take the
haircut.
online quiz,
My
upload a
hair's
photo
too
of your
thick.
head, and it analyzes what products you need. Then they send you a box full of goodies to
I get a thing where I feel like my hair, like I feel like my hairline looks worse the longer my hair gets. I feel like it would be fixed. It would like fix itself if I let it grow out to the point where I had like long enough hair to tie it back. Like if I was a guy who had long hair, it wouldn't be a problem. But in that like interim period where your hair, like I get like a really puffy kind of fro type thing going on. And so the like it just doesn't really like form itself well. But then I'll get a haircut and I get it nice and clean cut. And it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, my hairline looks fine. But if I let it like grow out too much, it'll get all frizzy and like thick and all that, and it'll just look awful. That's why I like to keep my hair cut short. It gets too unkempt too easily. Yeah, you can also grow out your hair to fix that problem, but it's just that weird like middle phase. Oh, I think your hair looks cute. I don't like it. I've always wanted to have like straight hair, straight short hair ideally, but I mean, just having short hair is my preference. I like having it cut, like, pretty damn short.
start your new healthy hair care routine. For me, I would start with a shampoo.
Like, unironically, if I never had to show myself on camera for streaming, if I was just a voice streamer, like a VTuber, I'd probably, like, buzz cut my head for the sake of, like, just the like, ease, you know? Like, I don't know if you know this, but, like, I mean, I imagine, like, people with long hair in chat know, but, like, it's a pain in the ass to wash my hair, you know? Because even though it's not that long, it's thick. It's thick. It is a battle to get the, like, suds to penetrate down to the scalp through all the thick hair. Because it doesn't want to get through it, you know? Like, it'll, like, trick you. It'll only be in the hair and not on the scalp, right? Like, I've got to really, like, work it in there to get the suds down to the scalp. And that takes a while, you know? Like, I really prefer having my hair shorter, because even when I have my hair shorter, it's just so much easier, you know, to wash my hair and keep it, like, healthy. I like to put in a little leave-in conditioner afterwards, so that when I wake up in the morning, my hair is super soft. It's like really, really soft.
Shampoo and conditioner, pretty straightforward. When my hair would dry, I would use the customized regrowth serum, really relieving a lot of that dry skin. Next, I'd get a cup of water and mix in the marine collagen. It's basically like making a cup of lemonade. Drink it. That's what I did. You drank it. And end your routine by taking a customized hair wellness supplement. And it legitimately works. My hair does feel fuller and less dry. Here's the before and after. And the fact that they clearly label the directions right on the back of the container makes it a no-brainer. So if you're noticing thinning, bald spots, or just looking to protect your full head of hair, get MD hair with the link and promo code in the description.
I feel like if I ever go bald, I just shave my head and just go full Heisenberg. Like, unironically. Like, I would never put up with balding. Like, if I was 100% sure that I was balding, I'd be like, well, only one thing for it. Bzzz. And just, you know, just clean it nice and get it nice and clean and put some sunscreen on my head. Yeah, and then like, you know, grow out a facial hairstyle that fits the baldness. That's the way to handle it, you know?
For 70% off your
like
first
the full
month.
baldness,
Thank you,
not
MD
the
Hair,
balding.
for sponsoring this video.
Being bald doesn't look bad. Hypers in chat, we all agree. When you see someone in public who is a shaved bald head, you never even notice it. Like, I literally never even notice it until it's pointed out when someone has a shaved bald head. Never do I notice it. If I meet somebody and their head is shaved bald, I never notice it. Unless I've known them with hair before and then I see their head shaved bald, then it's weird. But if you're meeting a stranger for the first time and they have a fully shaved head, you never notice. I agree, Heavy Gretel, yeah. But like I'm talking about like as a dude, right? Like if you see a dude with like the fully shaved head, it's never a thing that like stands out as like a bad thing. But you know what does tend to stand out, admittedly? Balding. Like a really bad receding hairline, or like the back of the head thing that Elon Musk had, where like his entire top of his head was just thinning out and nothing. And he got the hair transplants. Yeah, that's a good example, Neural Fire. Be a bald bearded guy who with tattoos that lifts weights. That is a perfect example of like an archetype of bald dude that you can be. Yeah. Anyway. We gotta rename this
recently
shit.
Been released off of house arrest, and Tim and his brother have been quick to jump on the idea that this proves their innocence. He wrote an essay about it. Anyone who has actually read the entire file on my case knows the truth. I'm innocent. The judge of my case took 7 days to decide whether I should be freed or not. 7 days
This
to
is a
read.
lie.
7 days to read thousands of pages. 7 days to realize there is no evidence of any crime. The conclusion is that I am completely innocent of any crime. Justice is justice. The law is the law. Evidence is evidence. I am
He's
free.
not been
This is a
exonerated
lie.
of anything.
Tate being released off of house arrest has no bearing on whether he's innocent or guilty. He's just not determined the same level of flight risk he once was. It's completely independent of the indictment. Although I kind of understand where the prosecution was coming from.
If I fuck up big time and England wants
The reason why he's been deemed less of a well, it's two reasons. One, he's less of a flight risk now because they've impounded so much of his assets. He's nowhere near as wealthy and capable of leaving the country and getting away like he could before now. He's under constant surveillance still, and then on top of that, like he's just they can't keep him under house arrest indefinitely. Like there's a limit, no matter how guilty the person who is being investigated is. There's a limit to how long they can be held in house arrest or in a jail cell. Yeah.
me in jail, I can fly on a Nigerian passport, or an American, or an English, or a Polish, or an Estonian. I have so many fucking passports. What, are you gonna block them all? I've got 4 more I haven't even named on YouTube. They can't stop me traveling. There's always a passport I can pull out. There's always a driver's license I can pull out. If you ban one, I've got another one. I've got bank accounts in 19 countries. My shit is diversified. So am I off grid? No, I'm on so many grids. You can't lock the grid on me.
Even if he's under trial, the fact that Romanian authorities gave him free roam in Romania speaks volumes. He's not free to roam the country as he wishes. His house arrest has just been expanded to include Ilfov County. The judge is still having them report to the police station every day, and again is limiting them to the county they live in. By all means, they still think you're a flight risk. They're just giving you a bit longer of a leash. But look how he frames it.
The indictment's been put in front of a judge, and what has the judge done? The judge picked up this indictment, looked at it, and said, "This is garbage, let him go." Their bulletproof indictment. After all I just described, they finally put together a document that the judge has instantly said, "Let him go, this man should not be held."
It's completely devoid of reality and has led to his fans spamming me saying, "Look, he's free, you were wrong." And he gets released 4 days later, innocent. Even though it couldn't be.
His fans have actually bought it. They remember, guys, I've said this every time we discuss Andrew Tate and his fans and how dumb and naive they are. We call them tater tots for a reason. They are very young, like 12 to 14, 13 years old on average. I have seen an absurd amount of them say, "This is why Biden sucks. Trump would have pardoned Andrew Tate by now." Yes, I have seen Andrew Tate fans saying that. That is the level of understanding of the legal system they have, fundamentally. So, that is why Andrew Tate has such an easy time simply telling his audience, "Oh, I'm off of house arrest? That means I've been found fully innocent. It's all over now. I won." And they actually fall for it. That is the level of naive he's working with here.
Farther from the truth, and this sort of misinformation has been the Tate's tactic the whole time, even going as far as trying to silence the victims through threats and frivolous lawsuits. I already spoke at length about the American girl who was allegedly trafficked by the Tates, and escaped with one other girl. You probably heard Andrew say that she's accused 7 other guys of trafficking her, leading to one guy named Dustin Milner offing himself.
This is the woman that you're talking about that you say you're alleging
Candace
has also
Owens,
accused 7 other
Jesus.
men.
Alleging, it's literally now on Twitter. You can see the complaint we filed against her. 7 men she is accused of kidnapping. She's done it with 7 different boyfriends who didn't buy her what she wanted. One of them killed himself.
Okay, wow. So
She's a professional.
They would then have one of their war room buddies spread supposedly
She's
leaked
a
audio
professional.
implying that the guy.
So, for the record, guys, what Andrew Tate relies on and what his ilk rely on are basically a variety of like essentially Reddit stories about women that did horrible things to men in relationships, and then making men fear that every woman is like a landmine that could potentially be a girl like that. And that's like what basically guides responses like that. That's why his fans hear something like that and they don't immediately think, wow, that's the most repulsive thing I've ever heard. Plus, they're 13.
Off themselves.
I just found out that I shouldn't be telling you this, but
They did this to Zoe Quinn as well. For those that don't remember, Zoe Quinn was is a game journalist. Now, back then, they identified as a woman, but now identify as non-binary. But at the time, they were the partner of like this game developer journalist guy who ended up writing, not a dev, was a game dev. Sorry, not a journo. Sorry, my bad. This shit is all very esoteric internet drama that unfortunately has had a lasting impact on politics and current discourse and policy in ways that you couldn't imagine to this day if you aren't already in the know. Anyway, yeah, I got it flipped. Anyway, Zoe Quinn, game developer, ex-boyfriend, game journalist, accuses them of cheating. Not just of cheating, but of being, quote-unquote, a slut who would have sex with any guy who is a game journalist in that industry in order to give their own games publicity for money. Now, at the time, this blew up. This is called the Zoe post. It was a big conspiratorial post made by like an angry ex, and it blew up. And that was basically the inception of like internet guys declaring war against like gamer feminists, right? Here's the thing, though. Looking back at all of it in hindsight, not only is there no evidence whatsoever that Zoe Quinn did any sleeping around with anybody, especially for any game coverage, but also Zoe Quinn's game was a free, like, point-and-click game that was free, and also it was reviewed, but it was reviewed before when the supposed relationship took place, apparently, and by a different journalist than the one that their ex, but her at the time, accused them of, like, cheating with. So it was, like, you could literally go down the list of all the accusations. It was all bullshit. But then, years later, and this is why I brought this up, years later, that, a different ex of, Zoe Quinn, I believe it was a different ex. It might have been the same guy, though. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was a different guy. Now, this guy had been in the past by multiple women accused of sexual harassment and assault, and of rape, I believe. And Zoe Quinn was one of those accusers. Years later, this guy ends up killing himself. This guy's sister comes out and, knowing what's going to happen in response to this, says she does not want the internet blaming any of her brother's victims for his death. In response, the Quartering, Geeks and Gamers, every grifter YouTuber under the sun, this is back in like 2020, starts the hashtag Zoe Quinn is a murderer hashtag, and it blows the fuck up. It was like a whole new like mini like aftershock of Gamergate, where you had this like wave of chuds getting hashtag Zoe Quinn is a murderer trending because years later their rapist committed suicide because they, along with several other victims years apart, outed that guy as a rapist. I think I'm going to be sick. This is the state of conservatism online, yes. And the guys that engage in that type of behavior are the types of guys that Andrew Tate reels in hook, line, and sinker.
Dustin killed himself on Friday.
The Tates are telling the truth, though, when they say there's civil cases available online to view, but they must be hoping nobody takes the time to actually read it because it makes them look terrible. It's a defamation case. It literally says in their court filings that Dustin Milner, the dude the Tates are so sympathetic for, committed suicide at the age of 35 while still in a relationship with Emma Gabby, who had yet to turn 18. Age of consent is 18 in Florida, and Dustin was 35 years old, meaning that the Tates are legally defending a pedophile. The case tries to victim blame Emma for this, saying things like, Dustin quickly became enraptured by Emma Gabby's
Yeah, I don't know if you guys guys know this, but several of the women that have come out that were involved with that were literally victims of Andrew Tate's sex trafficking scheme were teenagers, as young as 15. Some of the victims that have come out are as young as 15 that are witnesses in the case, or were 15 at the time of the offense. My bad.
And seductive charm, which lured him into extremely volatile relationship. He's 35, bro. He's the adult. What are we talking about? Emma Gabby knew what strings to pull to make him angry, and would psychologically manipulate him by disappearing for days just after spending a long weekend with him, which manifested in self-hatred, eventually driving Dustin Milner to commit suicide. She ghosted him. That's it. It's the weakest shit ever. The lawsuit then names 4 other guys. 34-year-old M. Fisher, who continued to date Emma while she was underage. She says, I'm underage, and he stayed with her. When he got in trouble, he chose to admit abuse in court, so he wouldn't catch a statutory rape charge. What's really suspicious about Fisher is he filed his own civil case against Emma, separate from the Tates, on July 4th, 2023. While conveniently only 7 days later, the Tates would file their own civil case on July 11th, 2023, citing Fisher's case as a source, which just happened a week earlier. Seems legit, guys. This is a coordinated effort to try and silence Emma. They want to run her broke. When you hear Andrew talk about the case, he's primarily frustrated that she has the money to properly defend herself.
Those 2 women we deem now to be professionals. One of them has accused 7 men of kidnapping in her life. And she's also lawyered up instantly from a left-wing NGO because she's currently being sued by us for false charges. And she seemed to be very well supported.
Yes, getting a lawyer on a high-profile case that is worldwide headline news running, paid for you by an NGO, is sus. Totally, dude.
And funded. So I don't know if she was sent as an agent. We're not entirely sure.
Yeah, it's the Matrix. She's Agent Smith. The other 3 people that
She's
Tate
an
is claiming
agent of
Emma
the
victimized
Matrix.
is a 57-year-old, written as the alias Jail John, who was found guilty for raping Emma as a 15-year-old minor, and is currently incarcerated. His real name is Keith Fox, and he was caught on film doing the crime by a private investigator hired by the mother, Joel Friedman, who was 39 and in a relationship with Emma, but says he was never intimate with her. This is while she was living with Jail John, meaning
for the record, like, you have to give credit to Willie Mack's show. The dude does, like, some really f***ing good journalism on this, on like, the Andrew Tate case topic. Like, I didn't know how f***ing bad Andrew Tate's case, like, situation was until I started watching Willie Mack show's coverage. Like, the amount of evidence that he digs up to bring to light to the internet that wasn't known, that's just known for the case, really helps to put into perspective how f***ed Andrew Tate is and how overwhelming and strong the evidence against him is.
meaning she was likely 15. And finally, maybe the only innocent.
And not only that, but how many additional charges we didn't even know about. The fact that so many of his victims at the time were literally well underage teenage girls. The fact that we now know that Andrew Tate is allegedly a pedophile. Like, and he's being charged for it. Like, that is what we know now because of what's coming out from this case. And we learned it in large part because Willie Mack's show did that digging, and I give him respect for that. This is some good journalism.
Innocent-ish guy here, 35-year-old Tyler Hensel, who thought Emma was 26 while dating her when she was really 17. And then after finding out her age, he broke up with her. So the 7 people Andrew Tate is suing this girl on behalf of, one is a pedo-rapist that was found guilty in criminal court, 3 others were well into their 30s and continued to knowingly date a minor, the other was Tyler, who was at least smart enough to get out of there, and the last 2 are Andrew and Tristan Tate. This is their official case against her. All this information is coming from their side. They knowingly grouped themselves up with a bunch of pedophiles.
Obviously, I'm the smartest man alive.
You're a moron. As for Tate claiming she says she was trafficked by 7 different guys.
You're alleging has also accused 7 other men.
Alleging, it's literally now on Twitter. You can see the complaint we filed against her. 7 men she is accused of kidnapping.
That's not true. It's nowhere in the case. The only people she says trafficked her are the Tates. As for the other 5 guys, she only ever legally accused 2, both of which are pedophiles. One is in jail, the other one pled guilty to abuse. And neither of them.
So what I'm guessing is that this girl was probably, like, accusing many people that are affiliated with Andrew Tate. And so Andrew Tate was like, oh, a bunch of people that I'm affiliated with are also getting accused by her. I'll just say that she's a serial false accuser. And to look at all the other accusations she's made. And sure enough, several of them are actively, like, registered sex offenders and convicted pedophiles. Jesus.
Some were for trafficking or kidnapping. Both were for raping a minor. So again, Tate's just lying. On second thought, it kind of makes sense they would defend these guys. Tristan has bragged about
like literally every single horrific, like you know how, like, you know, 2 years ago I would say this is Andrew Tate, professional rapist. It was never fully a joke, but I don't think I I knew how right I was when I would say that.
about doing the exact same thing.
One of my main chicks has 200,000 Instagram followers, and I took her virginity when she was 17.
The defamation part of the case tries to make the argument that she's lying about being trafficked, because in the messages released by Tate detailing her escape from the Tates, she joked about getting a Netflix and Hulu special with the other victim, which means in the Tate's official court case, they're taking the Tate messages out of context to try and get her. It'll never work. I've already gone over the full messages in their full context. The full messages do nothing but make the Tates look bad, showing how the girls were only allowed to leave the house if they convinced the Tates they were madly in love with them. And it becomes downright diabolical when you realize that the Tates are trying to hide this information from the judge and jury by filing a notice of confidentiality when it comes to the WhatsApp messages, as well as, and I quote, her false statements to the Romanian government. So they want the court to only view the out-of-context messages they provide, as well as ignore her testimony in Romania. Luckily, the court has determined that this does not meet the criteria for confidentiality. Duh, because how can you say her testimony to the Romanian government is false when that trial hasn't even started yet? And for what reason would you not look at the full context when it comes to the WhatsApp messages? How does that make sense? The reason is because it's civil court. They don't want it to go the distance, they want her to go broke and have to settle. It's always been about silencing her. On January 28th, the same month the messages were released by Tate, Tate called his team from jail and told them to make it clear to her and her whole family that she will be bankrupt for life for lying if she doesn't withdraw the testimony. We know this is real because he made the phone call from jail. The transcripts are part of the court documents in Romania. But this isn't the first time that Andrew has tried to silence the victims. In other transcripts from January 28th, Andrew Tate from jail called his assistant and had her make one of the girls write a letter taking back her testimony. Now this is translated from English to Romanian and then back to English, so bear with me. It's my last call. I hope it doesn't go wrong. Call Luke as soon as possible, please. If this appeal doesn't work, you must tell Luke to obtain unconditional surrender from E and G. Yours says yes. Andrew then goes on to say, it can't just be I withdraw. It has to be I lied. I'm sorry. The boys have no business in prison. Yours replies yes, and then the call gets transferred to Luke.
Dude, it's like that shit. It's like some shit from Breaking Bad where they're actively trying to like organize getting their buddy out of legal trouble through some like illegal, like nefarious means. They're trying to figure out how to get their friends off for these charges. Oh yeah, the Alec Hawaka, the guy with the Zoe Quinn thing, had been accused by several other people as well, and the evidence was quite strong as well. I believe it was like a prolonged abusive relationship as well. I don't remember all the details, but I know it had something to do with like essentially kidnapping. It was really bad.
Luke, this is my last call. Luke says we contacted her. We gave her all the documents she needs. We were waiting for her to come back to us. Andrew then replies, all right, that letter must be sent today. The surrender of E must be completely unconditional. Must completely discredit A. Make it clear they lied together. And believe it or not, this worked, as reportedly one of the young women withdrew her accusation. Andrew Tate, according to the prosecution, would then move two of the women to Dubai and then have them go on the news and talk about how great the Tates are.
I've never seen any of them being aggressive or rude. They've always respected people. They started.
This is after they dropped their charges.
They lived in a shelter with their mom.
She's clearly reading off something. The prosecution noted this and released more transcripts of Andrew telling his team to get more girls to defend him, saying the clips the two girls made have good views and are hitting hard. Keep going, good job, over and over again, different ones. We need the girls to cry, to be frustrated and angry. We need to hurry up. We slow down and we will end up waiting without making enough of an explosion, so we can get the F away from here. Now him doing this from jail where his calls are recorded is...
Not to mention... Andrew Tate has also been thoroughly scrubbing the internet. Like we had this confirmed in our last react we did to Willie Mack Show's Andrew Tate coverage, believe it or not. He actually went over this, and I had a suspicion this was happening, but Willie Mack Show confirmed it. Andrew Tate has been paying a lot of money to scrub the clips of him admitting to all of these crimes from the internet. I kept on trying to find these clips of Andrew Tate just outright admitting to sex trafficking, admitting to how old these girls were, etc., on Google, and I would literally word for word search the quotes and then Andrew Tate's name, and the clips just wouldn't come up no matter what I did. And it turns out, DMs have leaked. Andrew Tate is actively paying to scrub the internet of those clips, which is why it was impossible for me to find them. Thankfully, we had them in the Willie Mack Show video. That's why you should be watching these videos and keeping up to date with what's going on through his content. He is very on top of this case. Like, whenever any, big new development happens, he will likely be the first to tell you the most in-depth and, all-encompassing perspective on it. It's actually impressive.
Stupid, but it actually makes a lot of sense. If none of the girls choose to testify against Andrew, that's going to have a huge impact on his sentence. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be consequences for him intimidating the victims. DICOT prosecutors have since opened a new investigation when it comes to the Tates, intimidating women who made complaints against them, as well as going after their bodyguards for lying on their behalf. This will lead to new charges. This is crazy. Game of Thrones has less deception in it. Now, I still think he's screwed because the prosecution is well aware of what he's doing. They got it coming out of Andrew Tate's mouth. He's his own worst enemy. And if a bunch of the girls do end up testifying against him, his sentence is going to be very long. I want to turn your attention to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, who were woefully underprepared for their interviews. They look like fools. I've already heavily criticized Tucker for interviewing Andrew Tate without even knowing what he was charged with.
Well, the fact that you're not accused of a sex crime or of violence.
And a week later, just 3 days ago, Tucker would release an interview with Tristan, still not knowing what they were charged with.
Be clear, none of the charges pertain to sex, rape, selling anyone, slavery, moving people across international borders to pimp them out.
Outside of selling people, it's exactly what they charged them with. What, Tucker leaves Fox and he can't even hire one person to read the indictment for him? It's been available since June.
You do not run a web business now.
No, absolutely not. And also, none of the alleged victims are girls who've ever worked at my streaming company in the past. There's zero connection at all.
The cam business is it's still going because my most loyal girls will never leave me. That's why it's...
This clip is an example of what he's scrubbed from the internet. Like, clips like this are what I kept trying to find and bring up to show you guys when I'd talk about developments in this case myself, or I'd try to do commentary on, like, just how bad Andrew Tate is. I'd try to find these clips, these exact clips. I'd even search the quotes, and you can't find them on Google. He has scrubbed the internet clean and paid a lot of money to do it.
It's going. So I have these girls on these various webcam websites who will never, ever, ever leave. My main thing when it comes to girls right now and money is my OnlyFans management agency.
And also, none of the alleged victims are girls who've ever worked at my streaming company in the past.
Read it, Tucker! What's this guy's job? It's the second page! It's the second paragraph of the whole thing! And that's what these interviews really are. They're just big platforms hosted by supposedly trusted news sources that allow Tate to lie over and over again without pushback. I don't know why they're acting like Tristan has never said anything to incriminate himself.
My brother was put in jail for being my brother. He hasn't said any videos. He hasn't said anything on the internet. He hasn't said any of the things I've supposedly said.
He has. It's bad.
I'll chime in very quickly and I'll say, one,
he's also
I have recruited,
affiliated.
I think, although you've worked with a lot, more girls into, I guess, the adult entertainment industry than anyone else. I really have.
Tristan then claims Andrew has never spoken to Luana before. Luana is one of the girls also being charged with the Tates for beating the woman when they wouldn't work for him.
So I didn't realize that there are apparently women involved in your human trafficking gang.
Yeah.
Have they been charged?
Yeah, along with us. They're part of the organized criminal gang, which is hilarious because Luana, one of the girls, has never, ever, in the whole 6 years I've known her, had a conversation with Andrew once. They don't know each other. Andrew didn't even know her name.
Yes, they have. Here's them together at his house, which was not a rare occasion. She literally walks in escorting two of the allegedly trafficked women. Does this look like two people who don't know each other? Here's them in the same group chat where they discuss the webcam business. But as bad as I thought Tucker's interview was, Candace was somehow worse, making arguments that could be used in the defense of Jeffrey Epstein. She tries to redefine human trafficking.
Whoa, you think that Candace Owens and the like are opposed to Jeffrey Epstein? Hold on, wait. Yeah, I'm actually curious. I genuinely would like to ask Willie Mack Show if he knows who the other person, the woman who accused Trump of raping her when she was 13 years old, the other person who she sued along with Trump for raping her when she was 13 years old and then dropped the case after being intimidated back in 2016. I wonder if he knows that that was Epstein that was also sued, and this was before the whole Epstein thing came out. Does he know that the right has been defending Epstein effectively for literally since 2016? like literally Trump was the other person that woman accused along with Epstein. Yeah, so and then, yeah, like years later, we find out the whole Epstein thing. It's like, whoa, who could have thought? Maybe Trump did do it, but no one actually put those two together, it turns out.
The indictment, and I do want to make it clear, the words human sex trafficking occur on the indictment, but then it very makes it very clear that what they're referring to is they kind of extended the term. It's not what we think about in America.
They did not expand the term. This is the UN's definition of human trafficking, through use of force or other forms of coercion, fraud, and deception. It has been the definition of trafficking in the United States as well as the EU for over 20 years. If we went by Candace's definition, Jeffrey Epstein wouldn't be a trafficker. When you look at Epstein's official charges, he did not violently recruit women. He paid them. They lived with him. They were paid to recruit more girls for him. Sounds familiar.
Your bottom bitch is the one who does the selling. You
Yep.
don't do the selling.
It's
The girl has to do it for the
literally
girl.
textbook
This is why
sex
your bottom bitch has to
trafficking.
be trained. That's why I said it's so important to have a good first girl.
And I think it's important to point out that you don't have to be a minor to be trafficked this way, although the Tates are being investigated for that too. And I don't even think Andrew would be offended by that comparison, as he thought very highly of Jeffrey Epstein. This is from his alt Twitter account when he was banned.
Oh.
Everyone wants to be friends with the pimp. Doubt me? Epstein had access to pussy. Look at his friends list. It's basic human psychology. I have that as such that every man who's not a hating bitch wishes they had. And the next best thing to being me is knowing me. Epstein reminds me of when a girl catches me cheating and I instantly dump her. Evidence schmevidence. You don't exist anymore.
Dude, it is over for him. It is so jover. Matt Walsh has also defended Harvey Weinstein. Guys, it's pedocon law. Always remember. Pedocon law. It's not even a theory anymore. It's advanced. For the first time ever, a scientific theory has become a scientific law. It's never happened before, but they did it for just this one thing.
Anymore, so there's no case. Here's proof that this was his Twitter handle. It's him admitting it, as usual.
So I'm on Twitter at the moment at ofwudan, OFWUDAN. Try and follow me on Twitter if you can, because it's where I'm most active, but my Twitter accounts don't last that long, so who knows how long I'll be there for.
When Nickelodeon star Drake Bell was charged for being with a minor, Tristan quote tweeted the news saying, "Leave him alone. 15 is legal in most civilized countries." If you don't believe this was his Twitter, here's him saying it with the @ linked in the description.
If you don't know who I am, you can find me on Twitter at Liv's Talisman or
Lock them up.
She's so nice. I treat her badly, but she comes back every time.
Recently, Andrew and Tristan have taken a
I
new
like-
approach
I
when it
always
comes
like
to
the
describing
pink
their
guy
cam
music.
business. They now say they were just nice guys trying to help grow her OnlyFans and social media.
They've accused me of using the Loverboy method because basically I was a nice person. I was nice.
They were looking for real evidence. The fact that the case file is so laughable now is just because real evidence doesn't exist. So when you have no real evidence, you go for junk evidence. You try to make your case on human trafficking based on, well, they were nice to these girls on TikTok, and these are girls who would say to me, hey, share my post on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So, because I'm a big social media guy. I don't know a single person when I had Instagram, from my cameraman to my personal trainer, who didn't ask me to blow them up on Instagram. But that is now the link they have between me and these people, saying that they're human trafficked, even though these people, defend me.
This is him talking about those girls.
let them take full control over their accounts. They will run away. I like to keep the girls' passwords. I log them in and log them out. If you give a girl the password to her account, there's a
another one
chance
of
she's
those
going to run
clips
away and
they've
try it by
scrubbed.
herself. I've had that happen.
Does it sound like he's just giving them nice advice? They could try and silence all the victims they want, but the most damning testimonies are from themselves. I find this next part particularly funny.
It's okay if you're in a relationship for you to watch pornography. And
They
then
just
I
love
had a huge wake-up
incriminating
call
themselves.
when I
It's
spoke
great.
to Tim Ballard. He runs Operation Underground, and then I realized how closely pornography is related to human sex trafficking.
Real sex trafficking, not
Real
TikTok
sex
accounts.
trafficking.
I don't want to go too much more into the interviews because it's just them conflating information that I've already debunked in my past videos. They're trying to confuse you.
If I was a mafia boss and I'd sit here and I'd killed 3 people and we were doing an interview and I was like, yeah, I used to kill people, I've done my time, I'm out of jail now. I get less flack than if I made a video talking about dating when I used to have a business that did webcam than I currently get.
But that's because you haven't done time yet.
A lot of the way I said things, I certainly shouldn't have said them that way, but none of it is criminal.
Right, and it, again, has no bearing on your...
I like that. I like that that inclusion of the yet from Willie Mack. I unironically feel like if you'd asked me like the day after I debated Willie Mack's show, if I thought he would ever do something like this against a figure like Andrew Tate, like a series of videos like this, where he would have takes this good, I wouldn't believe that. I wouldn't. I feel like, of all people in like the online sort of, I wouldn't really say he's edge to, but I think he's adjacent to it. I don't think he'd necessarily disagree with that general claim. I think out of all those figures, he is the most... I feel the most confident that he genuinely has, like, moral principles at his core that he is not willing to waver on. Because they're just not the kind of things you waver on, like those kinds of moral principles. Particularly when it comes to stuff like, I've noticed that, like, let me give you a good example. Whenever I had my last big, like, war on Twitter, I guess you could call it, with the Lolicon community, I remember that I was in Shoe on Head's group chat, Now, Shoonhead, like, you know, she's known for, like, owning the pedos and stuff like that. So I'd asked her for, like, some Twitter backup, you know? And she didn't really offer that. But without really asking or really, like, indicating that I was looking for it, every single time I would find myself in some sort of Twitter scuff with, like, a horde of lolicons spamming, like, lolly porn in, like, the replies or whatever, and all that shit. Usually Willie Mac Show would be one of the people there sending some backup without me ever asking or indicating that I was looking for that. And I appreciate that. I feel like he's not willing to look past some of this horrific shit many right-leaning people are willing to for the sake of, like, owning the lefties. Because it is bizarre how much of the right is just openly okay with pedophilia. Like, the amount of acceptance of lolicon on the right now is just... It's just straight up, like, they're just cool with pedophilia. It's insane. Yeah, anyway.
Your case today, but I want
There's literally no bearing.
Yes, it does. It's the entire premise of the case. Andrew then contradicts himself by saying that the prosecution is actually using those videos in his case.
Because in the current case against me, there's no case. Everybody understands there's no case. We're now in a situation where if the legal system's completely fair, then the case is over. So what they're trying to do is they're going to conflate with old videos of mine, and they're going to try and muddy the waters and gaslight.
He can't even keep his story straight anymore. This is now my 4th video covering completely new information on Andrew Tate, and to be honest, there's so much more information I haven't even talked about. So subscribe. Until then, I'm going to share a few extra little criticisms I have that I couldn't fit into their own section. It's been leaked from Andrew Tate's war room that one of his instructors, Vlad Obu, aka Joe Lampton, shared his advice on controlling your cam girls. Last week, a girl from my studio was angry I blocked her number. She was annoying me, saying unblock me now, etc.
Remember, guys, this is not just an Andrew Tate thing, okay? This entire issue is centered around a organized crime ring that the Tate brothers are running and affiliated with at the very least. And so this is not just going to be the Tate brothers getting taken down. It's going to be the Tate brothers and their co-conspirators getting taken down. At the very least, their co-conspirators are weaknesses. Those co-conspirators have a very high likelihood, in my humble opinion, of ratting on them for an easier deal. The Tate brothers are the head of the snake, as far as, I would imagine, as far as the Romanian... But Greta. I know it's called Greta, but I forget what it stands for. Thank you, though. Yeah, it's a specific, like, yeah, the anti-terrorist unit. I was going to say that, but I was like, that doesn't sound right. But yeah, it's like a very serious, like, issue. They consider this an organized crime ring that's a threat to, like, the safety of their country. Anyway, yeah.
I took her keyboard and hit her in the head with it. She went to her room and worked 7 hours without any break. She didn't mention nothing about it later. For her, a bit of violence worked. For others, you use different methods. I'm not advocating for violence. Here in Romania is different. No laws for females. Don't copy this in the US. You might get jail. Laughing emoji. He has also been charged with trafficking. Andrew had more messages
I love when they're mask off about it.
leaked from the war room of him saying, rather lose the girls or make them slaves in his absence than having them living with friends and family, making her choose him or them. But the person I'm most disappointed in is Candace Owens, because Tucker can at least claim ignorance. Candace, on the other hand, reads the Tate civil lawsuit where they're trying to silence the victim and chooses to side with the pedophiles.
So who is Emma Gabby? First, I'll tell you who she is, according to the Tate brothers, who is suing her.
Why would anyone take their word for it? They supposedly trafficked her.
Emma Gabby is a predator who has a long history of baiting men into sexual relationships for the specific purpose of destroying their lives. She has a chain of victims going back several years to when she...
Well, also, you have to remember, conservatives categorically disagree with the concept of consent. They don't like it. They disagree with it. They don't want it getting taught. They don't want it being enforced. They don't want it being encouraged.
Was a minor.
Oh, since she was a minor. Candace is framing the teenage girl as the predator and is siding with 5 pedos, 4 of which knew her age and continued to be with her. What the fuck? This is the Daily Wire. Aren't these people saying we need to protect the children? Look out for Candace, bro. She's siding with pedo drug addicts.
The first case involves a man who I am not going to name, and the only reason I'm not going to name him is because at the time of the allegations against him, Emma was, in fact, a minor, and that, of course, is relevant, so we just want to be ethical here.
She's protecting a convicted, locked-up predator's privacy while slandering the victim. Have we gone insane? She then says she doesn't want people looking up the case.
And not
Nothing's changed, and oh yeah, Candace Owens outright saying, don't look into the thing I'm grifting off of is not crazy. Like, this is literally Willie Mac Show getting exposed to how absolutely batshit insane right-wing media is in real time. I promise you, Willie, this is not unique to the like situation with the Tate brothers. They are like this, all of them, every time, all the time.
Expose his name so people can look up the case because, as I said, she was underage at the time.
And they don't want you to know his name because if you look this case up, you're going to see that she clearly did not frame him.
This guy's name is Yoga Fox or Keith Fox. He raped 2 underage girls. He was caught on video doing it. She wants to hide this information from you because it makes her look awful.
She's protecting the Tates.
The full video exposing Candace's bias is a masterpiece, and you can find it on Twitter at the Milk Bar TV or at Cran's Murders. You should check it out.
Isn't it interesting that she's accused 7 other men of kidnapping?
Interesting.
So Keith Fox,
Chat.
he was convicted. There's no question. There was no false accusation.
We could watch
there.
that
Dustin
next
Milner,
stream.
there was no accusation. Tyler Hensel, there was
That
no
sounds
accusation.
interesting.
Marlon Fisher, there was an accusation, but to be fair, he would fall under statutory rape. He was 34, she was 17. And Joel Friedman, there was no formal accusation. At best, we have 2 accusations, and one of them was not formal. So I don't know where this whole she accused 7 men came from. That simply does not exist.
But first, fight the Matrix with the Red Pill t-shirt, or the It's Not Politics, It's Common Sense t-shirt. At WillieMaxShop.com, all custom art, fresh and fit wear it. Hell, even Andrew Tate wears it every day, which I don't know how I feel about that anymore. But seriously, these videos take a long time to make, a lot of research and effort goes into them, and unfortunately, they're usually demonetized their first couple days upon upload, so please consider buying a t-shirt or supporting me on Patreon if you can. If not, a like and comment will do. I also want to thank Jolena and Kranz again for helping me with the court documents. I couldn't have done it without them. Shout out to the homies over on Patreon. Phoebes, Crimson Glass, Zabi,
I like it. That was a damn good video from Willie Mac Show. Oh, wrong screen. That was a damn good video from Willie Mac Show. There will, of course, be a link in the pinned comment and description to the original video. Go send support. Don't just watch my coverage of it. At least go send a nice comment, some thumbs up, maybe even a sub. I disagree with Willie on a lot, but, like, at the same time, I feel like the fact that he's made this, like, ongoing, like, extremely high-tier journalism coverage of the Tate brothers, and the fact that he's, like, it feels like in real time he is discovering how batshit insane the right is. It gives me hope for him. 90% of the info in his Keffel's video is wrong, lol. Other than that, he will make great videos. Well, it's because he got the info from Kiwi Farms. One of the downsides, like one of the weak points, and I don't think he does it here, but one of the weak points of a lot of these figures, and a big part of why they don't like Keffels, is because they rely on Kiwi Farms to get a lot of their info from. A lot of your, like, if you watch drama YouTubers, like mainstream traditional drama YouTubers, most of the info they get either comes from Reddit, Twitter, or primarily Kiwi Farms. That is why so many dramas from large figures like Keemstar have ended up turning out to be complete bullshit in the past, is because the info came from Kiwi Farms, and it's just sort of like a den of rumors and misinfo. There can be a lot of true stuff on there, especially depending on the person whose, like, thread it is, right? Like, I don't think that, like, there's a lot of misinfo being spread on the thread of that, like, one, what was her name? The evil college girl that was, like, blending chinchillas and force femming her like roommate, and then, like, what was her name? Isabella Loretta Janke, yeah. I doubt there's, like, a ton of stuff there that's just insane, deranged, like, rumors spreading about her, because there's not really, like you don't have to be insane to hate her, right? But, like, if you're the type of person who spends all day thread posting about, like, really anybody who's not, like, a monstrously awful creator on the face value, then chances are most of the stuff that's going to be posted there is going to be bad. Or it's going to be, like, just stalker shit and doxing, like what they did with Corpse Husband. He said Keffels shouldn't be mad. Shouldn't be mad she receives transphobia from other people, because there will always be some transphobic people out there, so that makes it better, lol. Yeah, like, his thought process on a lot of these things is just, like, so backwards, but at the same time, there's this, like, very clear evidence that he's capable of positive growth politically, I think. I think that merch, it's not politics, it's common sense, or it's not politics, it's common sense shirt, kind of gives good insight into his, like, mindset and like where it's at, is that he is very opposed to the idea of being seen as political. You can even see it in his rhetoric in the videos. But what that was like a very effective political takedown video of the entire like right-wing industrial complex being like oriented towards defending Andrew Tate, who is like now a alleged pedo and very likely alleged sex trafficker, you know? I feel like he's going down or going up the road towards a better place. That's what I hope. Maybe I'm being too positive, but, you know, I like to hope for the best. Maybe that's a flaw of mine, but it's what I hope for.